Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sean, and I'm just going to be discussing some of the most recent interesting car stories that I've seen that have hit the automotive world, from major sports car brands seeing some slumps in sales to failed mergers and other interesting news, too. So let's get into it. So, first off, it looks like the Ford Mustang, the traditional normal Mustang that the enthusiasts actually like, had the worst sales in its 60-year history, with just over 44,000 buyers in the last year. It's safe to say I think Ford needs to really take a firm look at the cost of the pony car, because right now a starting Mustang in 2024 was just over $31,000, close to $32,000, and that was for the four-cylinder EcoBoost model, and that comes with that 2.3-liter turbocharged engine, which is a decent performing engine. However, when you look at the marketing from Ford, when you look at the history of the Ford Mustang GT, it is all about the V8, and the 5-liter V8 especially carries a lot of historic weight in the Mustang, lineage, and the starting prices for a Ford Mustang GT was, in the high $42,000 range, near $43,000. And the GT Premium was, just over $47,000. And when you think about the dealer fees, adding options, or other factors that will come in, you are getting close to that $45,000 to $50,000 range. And you have to remember too, this is a mainstream brand. Ford is not a luxury brand like a German brand like BMW or something like that. So it, makes you wonder, is this really the everyman's car that it used to be when the GT model, what was once considered the affordable way to get into a V8, is getting near $50,000? Personally, I don't think so. And many experts, journalists, business experts, they do believe that this trend will continue, because the prices will continue to rise, and Ford will, be scratching their heads as to why this is happening. And I really do hope that Ford will look at their pricing strategy and look at their offerings and figure out how to create a truly affordable V8 sports car that appeals to a younger market. And instead, focus on the Mustang Mach-E, which, yeah, it's getting good sales and all, but we all know it's not a real Mustang. It's basically an EV crossover that's got a horse on it. So I hope Ford looks at changing up their price strategy and maybe thinking about offering a vehicle that is more, perhaps, bare bones. There could be a market for that, but I know that a lot of these automakers are all about pushing the new tech and pushing the expensive packages for people to tick for the option boxes. So we'll see, but I have my doubts, and I wouldn't be surprised if the starting price for a Ford GT with the V8 gets, I wouldn't be surprised if it's at around $48,000 to $49,000 before the end of the decade. That's just my opinion, though, but we'll see. Next up, now it looks like the merger between Honda and Nissan is over, and there were some reports showing setbacks that it would collapse, in the coming weeks, but now it looks like, it has happened, because Honda had put some terms that Nissan did not, feel that was in their best interest. It sounds like Honda wanted them to abandon their hybrid tech and, use the Honda hybrid tech. And also, from Nissan's understanding, it seems like it was not a merger of equals, which, to anyone observing this, that's obvious. Nissan is, there have been pretty firm rumors that they're facing financial collapse within the next year, and they need, key support. And the Japanese government was actually trying to facilitate this to save Nissan and to prevent any more job cuts, which are already, part of the current news cycle for Nissan. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I do believe we're going to see, some interesting moves. For example, Renault, Nissan's a partner from France, they're already reducing their financial stake, and now it looks like the Taiwanese tech giant known for making iPhones and other, handheld or household-based technology, Foxconn, is looking at possibly, throwing a lifeline to Nissan, especially because they want to get into the EV vehicle game. We'll have to see how this goes, though, because obviously Nissan's in a rough situation because of the shift to electric vehicles and just their product planning and other issues. But it will be interesting to see two things. One, how the tariffs from the United States under, newly elected President Donald Trump impact brands like Nissan, brands like Honda. But also, I'm curious to see how the Japanese government will be with allowing Foxconn to partner with Nissan potentially, or to have a potential really major stake in that brand. Foxconn, while they are not a Chinese brand, there could be some suspicion from Nissan and the Japanese government towards Foxconn, because there have been rumors that the Communist Party of China has tried to infiltrate Foxconn. However, Foxconn, being a Taiwanese based brand, they also have expressed their concerns and skepticism towards China. So we'll have to see how that works out. I would be curious to see if this actually happens. So we'll see. Nissan, if I were you, I would start figuring out what you can do in the event that you cannot get a lifeline from another company or a merger from another automotive company. So we'll see what happens to them as well. So this was a really interesting study that was done in the UK. Apparently, electric vehicle drivers have a higher accident rate, but fewer injuries. Now, it's pretty obvious what this could be, because electric vehicles do come with newer, more advanced safety systems. They probably mitigate the severity of major accidents. However, because of those, driver assists, you do see more drivers not paying attention behind the wheel, and they're essentially letting the technology take over for them. And we have seen some pretty catastrophic accidents, much like the what was a Tesla vehicle, in the image below. There have been many cases where Tesla drivers have let their Tesla autopilot systems literally just do everything, and unfortunately those vehicles have run into and crashed many a time. There have been documented articles about this across the internet. So I think this is a case where you see definitely too much trust in the technology, which is creating minor accidents, but they're not, serious accidents to the occupants of the vehicle, thankfully. So another thing too, this is just my opinion, most EV drivers, they're not enthusiasts, and many of them don't care about driving or driving well. They just see driving as a chore. They're not going to be the type who would buy an enthusiast car like a 911 Carrera T or a Cayman GT4, or even something different like a Nissan GTR or Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport. They're not looking at those cars. They they see an electric vehicle almost like a nice cell phone, like an iPhone. So they don't care about driving. They want to just let the tech do it. And I think that's the big reason why we're seeing a higher accident rate. I'd be curious to see if there's a similar study for United States drivers and see how it compares to the British study. And as we're starting this year, we're in the second month of 2025. We're already seeing a lot of discontinued models from big automakers like BMW, Infiniti, Lexus, and it sucks because there are some great models like the BMW 8 Series and M8 competition. They're going to cease production, and Lexus will be discontinuing the RC and RCF, leaving the Lexus LC as the only rear-wheel drive coupe in that lineup. And we're going to see more cuts in the model lineup, especially to coupes like the RC, RCF, and the 8 Series models. And we'll see a consolidation, unfortunately. There are going to be some models that will always be around. For example, Chevrolet Corvette will always be around, even though Chevy basically has like an all SUV lineup at this point and pickup truck. Ford, same thing. The Mustang will always be there, hopefully in a sports car form, and I believe it will be. But if you look at Ford, they don't have any cars. They just have, outside of the Mustang, coupe, they only have SUVs, pickup trucks, and, that's it pretty much, which is unfortunate. So we'll see more models discontinued, and we'll have to, take it as it comes, as the enthusiast cars, are less and less available for us. So this is a really recent report that came out. Actually, I just saw this earlier today, and it looks like within GM, there's still some back and forth on whether or not they're going to revive the Camaro. I think it will still be revived, but it won't come for a long time. But right now, there seems to be a strong enough group of GM leaders that do not believe a new Camaro makes sense. And it's annoying because since the discontinuation of the previous generation Camaro, which, the last model year was 2024, there were tons of rumors about the next generation. Many rumors were saying that it will be a full EV Camaro, or that it will be a sedan or an SUV like the Mustang Mach-E. But now these recent rumors have, put the future of the Camaro model nameplate in limbo, and it does make me wonder if we will see one. And I think we will. I do believe that when it will come back, it will be a full EV. I hope it's not a crossover SUV like the Mustang Mach-E. I hope it is a coupe. Sedan could be interesting because then that would make it more competitive against the Dodge offerings. But right now, it looks like General Motors is putting the Camaro on ice, and I do believe we're not going to see a Camaro for a long, long time, unfortunately. So we'll see. But at this point, it looks like that's going to be the story at GM. And that's it today for interesting car news from around the world and in the industry. I hope to come back with a new video soon, and hopefully doing this more often. Take care, everyone. Subscribe and like if you can.